Okay, hey, my name's Dave Dewolf, and my most recent claim to fame was this morning when six of us completed a formation and for skydivers over 80 years old. So we're pretty happy about that. It was a world record, we're told. But it all started back on May 18th in 1962. I was in the Army, and to make a long story short, they first sent me to Fort Bragg, and they would not let me go airborne because of my MOS, which is your job in the Army. So I got to Fort Knox, and they had this demonstration team type thing, and I joined that and got 27 jumps while in the Army and just never stopped jumping. For the 50 years I've been jumping, I've had two broken legs, I've had two rotator cuff surgeries, open heart surgery, 7 stents, and have never missed a calendar year of jumping. So I'm pretty happy about that. But I just kept on jumping, and I jumped a lot with a team called the Herd from New Hanover, Pennsylvania, which was pretty famous in its day. And we were famous not only for skydiving, but for having a good time, which is really what the sport's all about. And the people always want to know how I started training riggers. I've trained over 1,000 riggers for sure. And it all started in 1971 when my best friend, Joe Smith, who was a master rigger and taught me a lot about rigging, came up from Florida. He needed a van. So we said, well, why don't you just train some of these guys to be a rigger? And we did. We got 8 people, $50 a piece. He got the $400. He bought the van. And next year, people wanted to also become riggers. He said, I'll never do that again. So they talked me into it. And I've been doing it since 1972. And I've probably trained more people than anybody in the world, probably, civilian-wise, that is. And I'm still doing it. I have a course coming up this year, or in March, rather. And I do it every year. I have a big course, etc. But the fun of it is, of course, is I have so many people who I've trained to become master riggers, and you see them around, and they all have several of them are working right here at this drop zone in Eloy. But and that right now, I jump at this Maytown Parachute Club mostly, which is 6 miles from where I live. It's really tough to get into the drop zone, but we love it there. It's a Cessna drop zone, but it's a lot of fun, and we put out a lot of students, and we do a lot of training, and we have more people get their A license than all the AFF drop zones around us, to be honest with you. So, but as far as my history goes, I always say, people say, what was the best jump you were ever on, or the greatest jump you were ever on, or what do you remember most? And that's for sure, no question about it. It was in Delaware, and it was on when Jerry Bird made his 10,000th jump, and it was a 40-way, and it was a Casa and a King Air, and because to be on Jerry Bird's jump is just the best thing in the world anyway, because he's the best, but it was a nerve-wracking jump in a way because we're climbing out of the King Air, and it was like a round star plus somebody docking at 4 places on the star, and then people building a loop around that person. And I was the person that had to go from the King Air to dock at a certain place in that star. As we're climbing out, a friend of mine, Brad Wambach, says to me, remember, Dewolf, if you're in the wrong slot, we're all in the wrong slot. I said, oh, thank you. Anyway, so the jump was completed, and it was perfect. And to be on Jerry Bird's jump was just the neatest thing that ever happened to me in my lifetime. I can't imagine topping that. But I've been on a lot of different records, a lot of things like that, and I've got a bunch of awards, but that was still, the best thing. And one of the neatest things about being this old is all the people you've met, all the people you know, and all the people that have gone through your life that have meant a lot to you, and I really appreciate each and every one of them. But I'm just going to keep on jumping. I'm still jumping and still having a good time. And I got 12,800 and some jumps. And at one time, I always say I used to be good because when I had my 4,000th jump, I was the 4th in the United States. I was the 4th number, and then 6th and 7th as I got other whatever, So I was up there at one time, but time passes you by and you can't jump as much as you used to. And by the way, my other claim to fame is I pretty much packed 99.9% of every rig I've jumped. So I'm still doing that. I'm still working as a rigger, and I'm still training riggers. I have my class once a year, like I say, and it's still pretty successful. And I use 17 instructors for training 25 people. It seems to work out really good. But I could tell you 1,000 jump stories, but it wouldn't be, I wouldn't have time to do that. But that's about my career. It's parachute rigging and jumping. Of course, the regulations are always there, but like now, you're not supposed to do this to canopies, and you're supposed to be a master rigger to do major repairs. But we didn't care, and nobody cared in those days. And we would cut holes in these 28-footers to try and make them either go faster or come down slower. It never worked. It never worked. And even the para commanders, we used to, and the Papillons, we short lined them. We cut extra holes in them. We did this to give us an edge in the competition, because accuracy was a big thing then. For some reason, the guys that were always good, and the guys that were always bad, no matter what they did, their counters were always bad. So all that stuff never worked. But we had a lot of different experimental things in those days, and I mean, a lot more cutaways, a lot more malfunctions because of this, of course. And people say, why do you have 37 reserve rides? I says, well, in the old days, it was sort of common, it was sort of common. It wasn't that, like now it's an unusual thing in a way, but then it was kind of common. But, and we had Navy riggers who made harnesses that weren't TSO'd, of course, but they were like military harnesses, and they were stronger than the ones we're jumping now. So there's no question about it that we never had a problem with that type of thing. But with the canopies, we messed around too much, you might say. No question about it. But and things changed. Like I say, if they would have told me like 8 or 9 years ago that I'd be teaching people how to put soft links on a reserve, I would have said, you're out of your mind. And that's the common thing now. So one of the problems we have with teaching riggers nowadays is keeping up with every little technical thing that's come along. And believe me, it's not going to stop. So we got to keep up with this stuff and keep training other people to keep up with this stuff. So like I say, it's not all peaches and cream in the rigging business, let me tell you. Now, like I say, it's a lot of fun, but it's still a lot of work. Some people, it's different, but to me, skydiving is having fun. It's having a good time. And I would say you ought to try it once, even if it's a tandem, try it, to see what it feels like up there. I said, because, to see if you think it's kind of neat, because everybody's different, and somebody that wants to jump, you can beat them over the head. That they'll come and jump. You can tell them no. You can tell them this and that. So it's up to you. You got to make a decision. But I tell you what, I says, to me and to a lot of people, it's tons of fun. It's like nothing they ever did. It's another world. Like no matter what you do for a living or for your job, it can be boring. It can be this, can be that. Skydiving is never boring. It's never humdrum. And I've been doing it for 50 years. And just the fact that it changes and the gear changes and this changes and that changes, there's always a facet of it that gets certain people. Like CRW, like some people just love that. Some people just love accuracy. Some people love just relative work, or some people just love jumping out of the airplane. There's never humdrum, so I would advise to try it. If you said that first time I didn't like it, I would say stop, because it's to have fun. It's not to force you, but it's worth the try. It's worth a try for sure.